I still remember the look on his face when he realized it wasn't her. I was standing by the back porch, smoking a clove, when Justin stormed out of the house, shirt half-buttoned, fists clenched, breathing like he'd just run a marathon in hell. His eyes were wide, like he'd just seen a ghost or got hit by a truth he wasn't ready for. He didn't say much. Just sat down on the steps, silent, staring into the dark night like the stars had lied to him. And in a way, they had. Let me back it up a little. My name's Uncle Ray. I run a small garage in Greenville, South Carolina. Been around long enough to know when love is real and when it's just noise. The story? Oh, it was real. Too real. It didn't belong in our world of quick likes, dating apps, and ghosted texts. It was something deeper, like those old stories Grandma used to tell on the porch swing. It all started with Justin. He was 25 when he rolled into town in that beat-up navy blue pickup, looking for a fresh start. Said he was tired of the city, wanted to work with his hands. Said he'd do anything to learn the trade. I took him in at the shop. Hardest working kid I ever met. Didn't matter if it was brakes, busted engines, or oil-stained concrete. Justin gave it 110%. But that ain't what kept him in town. Her name was Nancy. Sweet girl. Lived across the street from the church. She had that kind of beauty that wasn't loud, brown eyes that looked like they carried secrets and hope all at once, curls that caught the sun just right, and a laugh you only heard if she really trusted you. She came by the garage one Saturday, car trouble. I watched Justin try not to stare, but Lord, he was gone the minute she smiled at him. And she saw him too. I mean, really saw him. Not just another guy with grease on his jeans. They started talking. First it was slow, coffee runs, long walks, a little flirt here and there. But then it was like lightning. They were inseparable. If she had a poetry event downtown, he was front row. If he was under a hood till midnight, she brought food wrapped in foil and love. Everyone knew what was coming. Even her dad. Now her father, Mr. Lionel? He was not the cuddly type. Real estate mogul, owns half the strip mall and a church parking lot too. A proud, clean-cut, rule-heavy man. And he did not like Justin. Said he was too broke. Too ordinary. Not on Nancy's level. But Justin? That boy didn't flinch. He went to Lionel, straight up, no games. Told him, "Sir, I want to marry your daughter. I'll work for you, prove myself. However long it takes." Lionel looked him up and down, like he was a smudge on his windshield. Then he said something that changed everything. "Work for me for 7 years. No shortcuts. No handouts. 7 years. And maybe then, I'll consider giving Nancy my blessing." I expected Justin to walk. Heck, I would have walked. But he just nodded. No hesitation. No begging. Just, "Yes, sir." That boy became a machine. He worked Lionel's properties, day and night. Cleaning up foreclosures. Laying tile. Repainting rentals. Weekends, holidays, even when he had the flu, Justin showed up. Never complained. Never stopped loving Nancy. And Nancy? She waited. She stood by him, even when her friends said she was crazy. Even when some rich boy from Charlotte tried to sweep her away. She kept writing him notes on sticky pads, kept bringing him lemonade in the heat. People talked. Called him foolish. Called her desperate. But they didn't see what we saw. That love wasn't made in one night. It was earned in every sacrifice, every tired step, every quiet tear when no one was looking. Year 7 came fast, and it was magical. The wedding was set. We all showed up. Lights, music, joy in the air like perfume. But here's where things went sideways. Justin had never spent the night at Nancy's place before. They were waiting, old school, you know? But that night, after the reception, after the champagne and first dance, the woman in the bedroom wasn't Nancy. It was Lena, Nancy's older sister. Quiet, always in the background. Never smiled much. A good girl, but never thought. Turns out, Lionel had made another deal. Said Lena needed to marry first. Said he couldn't let his legacy go out of order. So he tricked Justin. Lied to him. Made him marry the wrong daughter. Justin felt like the whole world crashed. I found him outside, just sitting. Not crying. Just broken in that way men don't talk about. He'd given 7 years. And for what? But you know what he said when I asked him what he'd do? He looked up and said, "If it takes 7 more, I'll do it. I'm not leaving without her." And that's where we are now. He started again. Year 1, round 2. Still working. Still waiting. Still believing. And Nancy? She's still waiting too. This story ain't over. But if you believe love is worth fighting for, if you've ever waited, hoped, or held on longer than you should have, then hit that like button, drop a comment below telling us how long you'd wait for love, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what happens next. Because trust me, you need to see how this ends. You ever seen a man walk past the woman he loves and pretend he don't feel a thing? I did. For 7 years straight. Justin walked past Nancy like she was air. Not because he didn't love her anymore, but because he had to. That was the deal. After the whole wedding night switch, everything changed. Lionel sat Justin down the next morning like he didn't just destroy a man. Said, "You want Nancy? You still want her? Work for me another 7 years. Starting today. No complaints." Justin didn't even blink. He just stood up and said, "Then I'm clocking in." But let me tell you something. These 7 years? They weren't like the first ones. They were darker, dirtier, heavier. Lionel didn't just want Justin to work. He wanted to break him. Now Justin wasn't just painting houses and fixing leaky roofs. He was digging septic lines with his bare hands. Scrubbing out apartments trashed by tenants who left the place smelling like rot and regret. He worked 16-hour days. Sometimes 20. No holidays. No thank yous. And Nancy? Her father forbade her from seeing him. Took her phone. Blocked his number. Changed her job, moved her out of town for a while. Told her to forget him. Said it was done. But you can't just unlove somebody. They found ways. Old-fashioned ones. Nancy left notes for him under the loose brick behind the church. Justin would leave her little paper cranes made from gas station receipts. Tiny messages folded in wings. Still here. Still love you. Don't give up. Sometimes she'd come to the hardware store where he worked part-time and just watch from the corner of an aisle, pretending to look at light bulbs. They barely spoke, but their eyes said everything. And then, there was Lena, the wife Justin never asked for. Now listen, she wasn't a villain. She didn't plan any of this. But she was there, living in that big cold house with Justin, eating across from him every night in silence, watching a man she shared vows with grieve someone else. She tried, I think, for a while. Tried to smile more, cook his favorite meals, show up at job sites with water bottles and hope. But Justin? He slept on the couch. Year after year. She finally gave up pretending. Started spending weekends at her sister's. Rumors said she started seeing someone out in Charleston. No one blamed her. Not even Justin. People stopped believing Justin and Nancy would ever happen. Some folks called it pitiful. Others called it noble. I called it proof that real love ain't for the weak. Nancy turned 30. Her friends were getting married, having babies, buying condos. Justin was still patching drywall and living in a house with a woman he couldn't touch. But every time I asked if he was okay, he'd just smile and say, "I got less days to go than I did yesterday." You're 11. Justin collapsed on a job site. Dehydration. Heat stroke. Ambulance had to take him out. Lionel didn't visit. Nancy wasn't allowed to. But I saw her, sitting outside the hospital all night in her car, just in case they let her in. They never did. Still, when Justin got out, she left a note in the glove box of his truck. Just said, "I saw you. I prayed. I'm still yours." By the 14th year, Justin's hands were cracked like desert dirt. His back was curved from lifting too much weight, and his smile? It was tired. But he didn't quit. He'd bought a tiny house with his own savings. Nothing fancy, but it had a garden and a wraparound porch. Said he was getting it ready. I asked, "You sure she'll still say yes after all this?" He looked me dead in the eyes and said, "I didn't go through all that hell to wonder." He gave 14 years of sweat, heartbreak, and loneliness. But the question still remains. Will Lionel keep his word? Will Nancy finally get to walk through the door of that tiny house with her name on the mailbox? You've seen what he's done for love. Now it's time to find out what love does for him. If this story made your heart ache just a little, hit the like button, drop a comment saying, "I'd wait," or tell me what you feel and subscribe to the channel. Because the final part of this story? It's the one that'll stay with you forever. You ever watch a woman fall apart with a smile on her face? That was Nancy. She kept going to work, kept showing up to church, kept pretending like she was fine. But every time she looked at her phone and saw no message, every time she passed his truck but couldn't wave, she died a little. That girl didn't just wait 14 years. She survived them. People think waiting is quiet, that it's just sitting around with hope in your heart and a ring in your pocket. That's not what it was for Nancy. Her father ripped Justin away from her like he was pruning a weed, told her he was never coming back, that he married her sister now. That real love isn't rebellion. And Nancy? She was raised to be obedient, raised to smile even when it hurt. So that's what she did. She smiled. But behind her eyes was a war. Now imagine this. Your sister, your older, more serious, more responsible sister, moves in with the man you love. Wears the dress you picked. Lives in the house you used to dream about. Every Sunday at dinner, Lena would sit there quiet. Nancy would sit across from her with a fake laugh and a full plate she barely touched. Her father thought he'd fixed everything. He didn't see Nancy sneaking off to cry in the old treehouse at midnight. He didn't see her scribbling poems in her notebook she never showed anyone. And he definitely didn't see her slipping out late to leave notes for Justin in that cracked brick behind the church. By her late 20s, the whispers started. You still waiting on him? He's married now. You're too pretty to waste your youth. I heard he stopped asking about you. Even her girlfriends started pulling away. Stopped inviting her to bridal showers. Thought she was stuck in a fantasy. Then came Eli. Smooth-talking, church-going, business-owning Eli. Said all the right things. Took her out once. Twice. Gave her flowers. Promised her a real future. She tried. She tried to smile like she meant it. But on the third date, when he leaned in to kiss her, she flinched so hard he spilled wine on her dress. He asked her if she was still in love with Justin. She didn't answer. He didn't call back. That was the year she almost gave up. The year Justin collapsed and no one would let her in the hospital. The year her dad looked her dead in the face and said, "You are not going to waste your life chasing someone who's already taken." That night, Nancy drove out to the edge of town. Parked by the lake. Screamed into the water. "I hate you, Justin. I hate you for loving me this long. I hate that I still want you." But when she got back home, she opened her drawer, pulled out one of his old paper cranes, unfolded it. Said, "Still yours." She cried herself to sleep holding it. By the 14th year, Nancy was numb. But she had made peace with one thing. If he ever showed up, if he ever knocked on that door and said, "I kept my promise," she'd go. No questions. No hesitation. She wasn't just waiting for a man. She was waiting for freedom. From control. From silence. From the lie that she wasn't worth choosing. Then one fall morning, a week before her birthday, Nancy found an envelope in her mailbox. No stamp. Just her name in Justin's handwriting. Inside was a photo. It was a tiny house. White shutters. Wraparound porch. And on the back, scribbled in ink, "I bought it for you. If you still want it." Wait. She froze. And then she ran. This time, it's her turn to take a step. The question is, will she walk through the door? Will love finally win, after all this time? If this story hit home, like the video, drop a comment saying she waited. And subscribe to the channel. Because in the next chapter, she'll have to choose between the life she was told to live and the love she never let go of. The scream was loud enough to make the church bell across the street stop swinging. I was under the hood of an old Chevy when I heard it, high, sharp, and full of every year those girls pretended to be okay. When I turned toward the house, I saw Nancy on the porch, hands shaking. Lena was standing in the doorway, arms crossed, tears in her eyes. They weren't whispering anymore. They were finally telling the truth. See, for 14 years, Nancy and Lena played nice. Sunday dinners, birthday parties, church service smiles. They did what good daughters do in a family where silence is safer than honesty. But underneath, it was war. Lena married Justin by accident. Nancy loved him by destiny. And both of them spent over a decade pretending they weren't bleeding. That envelope Justin left in Nancy's mailbox? The one with the house? Lena found out. Not from Nancy. Not from Justin. From Lionel. He stormed into the kitchen waving the photo like it was a crime scene. "You're not going anywhere," he told Nancy. "You're staying here. You have responsibilities. And your sister is still your sister." Nancy didn't say a word. She just folded the envelope, grabbed her coat, and walked out the front door. Lena caught her on the porch. "Nancy," she snapped, voice shaking. "You think you can just walk away and be with him now?" Nancy turned slowly. "I waited 14 years. You had him in your house. You knew he didn't love you." Lena flinched. "Oh, and you think that didn't hurt me?" she fired back. "You think it felt good waking up every morning next to a man who stared at the wall instead of me? Who couldn't say my name without choking on it?" Nancy's face crumpled. But she didn't back down. "Then why'd you let it go on?" "Because I didn't have a choice." Lena screamed. "Dad made the deal. I just kept hoping maybe he'd fall for me eventually." Nancy blinked fast. "But he didn't." "No," Lena whispered. "He didn't. And you knew that. You knew every time you smiled at him, every note you left, every poem you read at church, you were tearing me apart." There was silence. Then Nancy stepped forward. Voice steady. Tears forming. "I hated you for a long time. But not because you married him. I hated you because you pretended it didn't hurt. And because you let me believe I had to keep pretending too." Lena looked away, chin trembling. "I never meant to steal him," she said. Nancy nodded slowly. "And I never meant to hurt you." Then came the question no one wanted to ask. "If he had asked you to stay," Lena said, eyes locked on her sister's, "would you have?" Nancy hesitated. "No," she whispered. "I would have left with him every time." Lena broke. Shoulders slumped. Years of forced smiles crashed all at once. She didn't yell again. Didn't throw anything. Just turned around, walked inside, and closed the door. "I watched it all from across the street. Wasn't my business to step in. Sisters got to fight sometimes. But that day, I learned something. Sometimes love don't just tear couples apart. It rips through families. And sometimes, the most painful part of loving someone is watching someone you love lose them too." Nancy walked off that porch with nothing but her keys and a folded photo. But she wasn't broken anymore. She was ready. The question now is, when she gets to that little white house, will Justin still be waiting on the porch? If this story shook you even a little, like the video, drop a comment saying, "That fight had to happen." And don't forget to subscribe. Because the final chapter isn't about promises. It's about finally walking into what you prayed for. The porch light was on. That's the first thing Nancy noticed when she pulled up to the little white house. It was soft, flickering a little like it had been waiting too long to shine for someone. She parked her car, hands shaking, heart loud in her chest. And there he was, sitting on the steps, elbows on his knees, same beat-up boots, same tired eyes. But when he looked up and saw her, everything that hurt for 14 years just stopped. Justin didn't say anything at first. He just stood, took 3 slow steps toward her. Nancy dropped her keys, walked into his arms like they belonged there, because they did. No fancy speeches, no big music, just 2 people who never stopped choosing each other, even when the world tried to split them in half. She pulled the envelope from her coat pocket. "I came," she whispered. "I know," he said. They didn't wait long. 3 days later, they walked into the courthouse together. No big crowd. Just me, a clerk with a tired smile, and the sound of pens scratching on paper. Nancy wore a sky blue dress and her hair up in that messy way Justin always loved. Justin wore his cleanest shirt and those same scuffed boots. They said their vows with cracked voices and full hearts. When the judge said, "You may kiss the bride," Justin paused. "You sure you want this?" he asked softly one last time. Nancy looked him dead in the eyes and said, I already had it. I'm just claiming it now. Later that evening, they went back to the little white house. A new doormat, 2 mugs, a porch swing Justin had built with his own hands. Just before sunset, there was a knock at the door. It was Lena. She didn't say much. Just stood there holding a manila folder and a wrapped gift. Handed both to Justin. "Divorce papers," she said quietly. "Signed. Final. You're free." Then she turned to Nancy. "And this is for you." Nancy opened the gift. It was a photo of the 3 of them when they were kids. On a tire swing. Laughing. On the back, Lena had written, "It was never really about who won. It was always about who held on the longest. I see you now. Both of you." Then she hugged them both. The kind of hug that hurts but heals at the same time. And she left. No drama. No bitterness. Just grace. People always ask me if love like that still exists. If someone would work 14 years for love in a world where folks barely wait 14 minutes for a text back. And I tell them this. Love isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, heavy, patient. Sometimes it's digging ditches, folding paper cranes, and sitting on porches waiting for a car to pull in. But when it's real, it always comes home. A year later, Nancy stood on that same porch holding a baby boy. Justin sat beside her, cradling his son in one arm and her hand in the other. I was there too, eating peach cobbler I didn't need, watching the sun go down. And you know what I saw? Not just a couple that survived the wait, but a family that earned the right to be happy. If this story gave you hope, like this video, comment, "Love always comes back," and subscribe to the channel. Because in a world that moves fast and loves short, maybe somebody out there needs to be reminded, the porch light's still on, and love hasn't forgotten you.